And I was just so sad, and just like my heart was just mourning, and I just felt like just so much remorse over my life. And I just began praying. I just sat down and I just started crying, and I just laid back on my bed, and I just looked up, and I just said, Lord, if you hear me, I am so sorry that I'm such a disappointment to you. And then instantly there was like this silence in my room. I opened my eyes, I looked up, and I didn't see my room anymore. I just saw like heaven, and I just saw these eyes looking at me.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Learning to Love Well. Today on my couch, I have my very good friend, Kaylani. Hi, Kaylani.
Hello.
She is still living in California where we met, but she is out here visiting along with several other other friends from California that we have, and all of my kids. So if you hear any background noise or the baby pops in and out of the frame, just ignore it. Ignore all distractions, because Kaylani's story is so good. So let's get into it. Can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I am from South Florida. I'm from, by Google standards, 4.5 hours, but I get here in 3.5 hours.
It's a mystery.
I guess we'll never know. I am from the Everglades, and I lived out there until I was about 23. And I've just been on this journey in life with, just creating new friends, or just growing in relationships and in this depth with the Lord. And my life is definitely, looking back over it now, is nothing. I have nothing to say other than thank you, Lord, for my life. There's so many things that I feel like I wanted when I was younger, and I thought I would have by now. But honestly, it's just like my life is just, I'm so grateful for my life. And worship has been the biggest thank you, the biggest breakthrough for me in my life. So
Yes.
yeah.
It's so good. You have an incredible voice, but what I really love about your worship is that you just go to this place with the Lord and you do prophetic worship. And I so many times I've just been crying or getting goosebumps while you're singing. It's just so beautiful. We can talk more about that. But first of all, can you take us way back to your childhood and tell us about little Kaylani in South Florida, your church life, your family life, the things you picked up along the way?
Yeah. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, so we're somewhat of a blended family. But I didn't know that my older 3 siblings were my half siblings until I think middle school, because to me, like, we were all, my mom and dad raised us all in the same house, and I knew that my mom was married before, but I didn't know what that meant as far as like my siblings. And so my dad, like, there was no difference to him. Like, all of his kids were his kids. So I my dad is an assistant pastor. He's always been some form of preacher or minister, and so is my mom. And so I grew up in the church, and all of my siblings and we grew up in the church for as far back as I like to tell people that my mom gave birth to me in church, because that's how much of church that I remember. And there was never really any sermon or service that we missed growing up. So I just always had this background of church culture, ministry, song, anything to do with God, and believing that's what I was brought up in. And it was also very legalistic. There's a lot of legalism and structure, and a lot of strictness in my background. And so that put this fear in me, and this awareness that there is right and wrong, but I didn't really understand what that meant. And I didn't understand the heart of God, and I didn't understand the heart of man either. I just always kind of knew that we were these beings that were just not good, and God was good, but somehow he made us, and we are still not good, but he's good, but for some reason he still made us. And that was just like all of the misunderstandings that I had as a kid. And I was never really taught the love of God.
Yeah.
I wasn't really taught that God loves us the way a good father should. I was just taught that, you know, for God to love the world that he sent his only son. And I understood that verse, but I didn't understand it as a lifestyle, and I didn't
Yeah.
understand it as the heart of God. I understood it as, well, this is just a thing that happened. But even though God sent his son, like he's still ready to condemn me
Right.
and send me to hell. So
So a lot about hell, a lot about a lot of fear-based
yeah,
theology, a
yeah.
lot of shame, I'm sure,
Oh
for when you're
yeah,
struggling.
the shame was the shame was like, it just like it took years to undo so
Yeah.
much shame.
Can you tell me too a little bit about your childhood, like at school, like things you're struggling with, things
Yeah.
that coping mechanisms that you're picking up along the way?
Oh yeah, I was bullied in school from a very young age. I don't remember exactly how it started, but I was bullied. So where I'm from in the Everglades, we have this like really rich soil because there's so much agriculture around. And turns out I was allergic to it as a kid, and it just always broke me out in like these bad hives and sores. And so I would always have like these black marks all over but you know, they were just from sores. And so the kids, they started bullying me and calling me all kinds of like really bad names. And so that kind of started snowballing into well, nobody loves me, because at home I was already a part, like my family was just already very dysfunctional. Like we didn't communicate feelings or I love you. Like we never really said I love you. We were never really affectionate to each other. And so at school, I go to school and then I'm bullied there.
Right.
And like I just started, somehow the lies started creeping in that no one loves me and no one likes me. I don't have any friends. I'm not wanted as a young child. And
Right.
so that kind of like started steering me into these wrong paths that I knew were wrong. But as a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid, I didn't know how to communicate. This is what I'm starting to get involved with, or this is the path that I'm taking, or this is what I'm doing, because
Yeah.
for one, I didn't have a voice. Like we were silenced. Pretty much, like, not that I couldn't go to my parents and tell them something, but if I did, there was condemnation along the way.
Right. And a punishment, probably.
A punishment. Yeah, this punishment was biblical. So as years went on, I got introduced to porn. I have absolutely no idea when it started or how it started. I just remember being on a computer, way back when computers were like 5D. Yeah, we had dial up. And so we didn't have like laptops or like a flat screen computer. Like our computers were like this big old box with dial up. And if anyone picks up the phone, well, then you just got to start everything all over again, because you have to like dial into the internet and,
Yes.
So I was like, these pop-ups would just happen, and I don't even know how they popped up, but pornography just became my vice from everything. And I didn't really know what I was watching. I just knew that I enjoyed watching it, and I knew that's what love was.
How
That's what
old were
affection
you?
was. It started, I want to say, when I was like 9. I
Which is
was
so little.
Yeah, I was a baby.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that stuff, and I wasn't really taught any of that. But I didn't.
Right.
I knew what it was, because there, like, if we're watching a movie with the family and things, like, if the scene would get a little too steamy, like just kissing or holding hands, my parents like fast forwarded or to make me close my eyes. So I knew that what I was watching in my alone time was wrong, but I also knew it was wrong because there was this shame and this guilt that started coming on me with it too.
And I'm sure you started hiding.
Oh yeah, hiding, to say the least. Like anytime I felt or I heard a doorknob term, like instantly I'm clicking off the internet or something, because I just could not fathom or even think what would happen to me if, for one, I was exposed for doing this, and the punishment that would come after it.
Yeah. And what about your mental health at the time?
My mental health, it was not really declining. I didn't know how to think. I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know that I was angry or hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I just started from this young age of just being like just severely lost. And as time progressed, this feeling of being lost just evolved deeper into I don't even know why I exist, you know? And so I, when I got to middle school, um, I became very depressed. I was homeschooled by then. Like my mom took me out of school because like I had gone to at least 5 or 6 different elementary schools by the time I was in 5th grade.
Whoa.
Because the bullying was that bad and everywhere. My mom,
Oh,
like, she
Kaylani.
tried to fight for me, and you know, as unaffectionate as my mom appeared to be, my mom was still a mom. She was still a mother. She was still trying to do her best,
Right.
and so she decided to homeschool me, and so that took me out of any type of social environment, and so kind of being isolated, but not isolated, completely isolated, because I was able to go to school and do like certain electives, like I was in marching band and things like that. And so on the outside, I was still trying to be this kid who did things to make people like her. I was like becoming like this really loud, obnoxious kid, like funny, trying to crack jokes and like be liked, but it was all really just a cry for help.
Yeah.
And so by the time I was in middle school, although I seemed like I was enjoying my environment or enjoying whatever it was that I was in, I was actually like dying on the inside. I was just so lost and empty, and I could not open up and talk to anybody about it because I didn't even have a language for it. I didn't even know what I was feeling.
Right.
But looking back over it now, it was like this like 9-year-old girl just like slowly started dying at a very young age. And so I was depressed. And to say depressed, I don't say that loosely. Like a lot of people, or a lot of times, like it's just said, you know, depression this, depression that. Like no, like I was just empty on the inside, and I became suicidal by the time I was in high school. By 9th grade, I was just ready to end my life because I had started experiencing a lot of trauma as a child. There's so many things that I experienced as a kid. Like when I was 14, my ovaries were taken out, and that was the icing on the cake for the depression and the suicide, because as a kid, all I ever dreamed about was like being a mom, and I wanted to have a family, and I wanted to get married. And when I was 14, you know, I had this catastrophe happen to my body, and I couldn't really understand why. All I knew is that the doctors did what they could to save me. You know, they told my mom that either they take out the ovaries and the tumors or she's going to die. So my parents did what they could do best. You know, they're
Right.
just thinking,
Save her.
save my baby. My mom, I just remember waking up and my mom was just like weeping, telling me this. And
Did you not know ahead of time what they were going to do?
no one knew that. No one knew how bad it was
Oh
until
my
the day of the
gosh,
surgery.
Kaylani. Okay.
So I knew that I had tumors because this is kind of a funny story, but not, you know, but you know, you laugh at your pain. So I I go to the doctor like as a kid, sort of backtracking, not really backtracking. I've always had like really bad migraines and really bad stomach pains. Like I was never diagnosed with IBS or Crohn's disease, but when I look back over it now, it's like it's definitely probably Crohn's disease. And my mom, anytime I said I was having an issue with any of these areas, my mom was like, okay, we're taking you to the hospital. We're taking you to the doctor. If I said like I was sick or I had a cold, my mom's like, I don't care, you going to school. Mom, I have a cold. We're going to church. Jesus can heal you at the altar. Let's go. But
Yes.
if I ever told my mom like any of these other areas that I always struggled with, she's like, okay, we're going to take you to the doctor. So I go to the doctor. I think I'm like 13 at the time. Go to the doctor, and she gives me an exam, and she's like, you know, she's feeling my stomach. And so she stops. I could feel her like massaging this one part of my stomach, and she stops, and then she looks at me, and then she looks at my mom, and she says, Mom, could you give us the room? And my mom's like, no, whatever you need to talk to my daughter about, you could talk to her about it in front of me. And I was like, thank God, because I don't want to be left alone in the room with the doctor. That's intimidating. And so she asks me if I was pregnant, and I just remember sitting off the table and just going, what? I didn't doubt that it was possible, although I was, I'm a virgin at the time. Still a virgin, actually.
Woohoo! Good
And
for you.
I I was a virgin, and I'm just like,
Miraculous conception?
yeah, I was like, I mean, I know God did it in the Bible.
The second coming.
I was like, Jesus, this I didn't want this, but so be it, Jesus. And I just say, no, I'm not pregnant. Like, there's no chance I could be pregnant.
Yeah.
And she asks me like 2 more times, and like in between she would say like make comments, but then she would ask me again. And so I just finally tell like, I'm not pregnant. And my mom just says, if my daughter says she's not pregnant, like she's not pregnant. And so the doctor says, well, if she's not pregnant, then there's something going on. And so later they find out that I had a tumor growing on one of my ovaries. But what they didn't know is that during the time I was going to specialists, and they were drawing up a plan for like how to proceed with this condition, they didn't know that the one tumor was like growing rapidly, and it started to cover the other tumor that was growing on my other ovary.
Oh my gosh.
And so by the time I'm on the surgery table, the doctor goes in and he takes out the one, and he's like, oh my gosh, this is like worse than we thought. And so he goes out, tells my parents, and boom, here I am waking up, and my mom just explains everything to me. And so I'm kind of like doped up, so I didn't really get what was happening, but I also just kind of didn't really care because I was already just so like lost and hopeless already.
Yeah.
So as time goes on, I'm back to normal life, some sort of normalcy in my daily routine. I began to realize like, oh wait, I can't have kids. I just remember driving from church one day. It was at night, and I just remember asking my mom like, why did this happen to me? And she couldn't give me an explanation. She just told me like, you don't question the things that God allows to happen. You just pray and go on with your life. And that was when I realized I can't get any answers for anything that I need in my life.
Yeah.
And when that night was when I realized like, it was like, I didn't realize it, but it was just it solidified this hard shell around my heart. Like, I can't get anything out of life. And so time went on, and, I continued struggling with depression and suicide, and like porn was just this back and forth battle since I was not like 9 until like 20, 21. And I like in between all of that too, I struggled with masturbation and all kind, like you name it, whatever the normal vice was, I was struggling with it.
Yeah.
And so
You're walking through all of this.
Yeah.
You are in church, but not experiencing relationship with Jesus. When was the first time you realized that he was actually real
yeah
and alive,
yeah the first time I realized he was real and alive was at the church that I was attending to before I moved to California. I'd always like experienced God's presence, but I never experienced, oh, he loves me. So I'm at this church, and the pastor's wife was this woman who planted this seed of faith and love and adoration for God that I'd never had before. If it were not for her, I would not love God the way that I love him now. I just remember just like wanting to cling to her so much, but I'd never like let her know that because I was afraid of the rejection that I thought that I would have. But I clung to her at a distance. And this woman was just like just watching her worship. It wasn't like watching someone just sing a song. Like, I saw her relationship with God when she sang. Like, she just had this love and adoration for the Lord that I just so desperately wanted.
Yeah.
And so I just um, I just, I gleaned from her relationship, from the overflow of her life.
Wow.
And I didn't really grow close with God, but I just remember just constantly thinking like, I really want to know you. Like I know the Bible is real. My parents raised me the right way. Like I've heard all these stories. I believe it, but I just don't know you.
Yeah. And there's something different about this woman. Like it wasn't just that she believed in the
Yeah.
Lord. It was like clearly there was some depth there that you had not
Yeah.
ever
I
known.
never ever known from anyone. And like I said, I'm a pastor's kid. I've gone to church service after church service, but I experienced the move of God, but I never had it internal
Yeah.
until meeting her.
Wow.
You know, and so she just she just poured into me anytime after Sunday. Like I would just go up and talk to her, and um, just her mere presence. Like she never turned me away. She never said no.
Yeah.
She would just sit and talk with me, even if it was just for 5 minutes. And that's what made my heart start to turn towards God, because she had a love for God.
Wow.
And her love for God was leaving a residue on me. And so,
Tell me about the story where you're sitting on your bed in your house.
yeah, so all of my life, I just always felt like I was just this huge disappointment to society, to God. I never saw any value to myself. I never like considered that people actually liked me or loved me. And I'm trying to break this cycle and these chains of like struggling with masturbation and pornography and depression. And I've given my life to God after going to this church and meeting the pastors there. And I, I'm going to church, and although I'm believing what I'm being taught and I'm starting to see fruit come from it, I didn't see the value, or I didn't believe that I was being a good daughter. I just didn't believe that God could be proud of me. So I remember I just went home one day and I was on my bed, and I was just so sad, and just like my heart was just mourning, and I just felt like just so much remorse over my life. And I just began praying. I just sat down and I just started crying, and I just laid back on my bed, and I just looked up and I just said, Lord, if you hear me, I am so sorry that I'm such a disappointment to you. I'm so sorry that I can't break these cycles. I'm so sorry that I'm not a good daughter. And then instantly, there was like this silence in my room. And I opened my eyes, I looked up, and I didn't see my room anymore. I just saw like heaven, and I just saw these eyes looking at me. And we locked eyes for a moment. And then all of a sudden I was back to my room again, and I sat up, and I didn't know what he was saying, but I knew that he was close to me.
Yeah.
I knew that he was there. And from there, I kept at this. I really want to know you. I really want to know who you are, not because of other people and not because of the things that I've heard. I just really want more of what I just had.
Yes.
And so I had like forgotten, not really forgotten, but I just like stopped being so sad over myself. I still, I still struggle with depression and suicide, but I just stopped feeling so down on myself if I felt like the Lord was near.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you, fast forwarding a little bit, you leave your life in Florida, travel all the way across the country,
Oh my God.
and end up at Bethel School of Supernatural Discipleship, BSSD, which is where you and I met. So actually, both of us were like packing up our lives in Florida at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was a little late, so maybe you were a little ahead of me, but we both travel all the way to California, which is where we meet. Tell me about your experience at discipleship school.
Yeah. I for one, like I am naturally introverted at heart, but I also had very little social development because I was a very sheltered child. So I didn't know how to be around people outside of my family. I didn't know how to be around people or interact with people if my family weren't there. I'm the only one there that, I'm get up and move. I mean, the whole journey to me moving to California is a whole nother just story of itself. But then when I do go to California, I'm like, I don't know anyone here.
Yeah.
My pastor's kids at the time, they were at BSSD in Redding, and I was 3 hours away. And so I didn't know how to get back and forth to go see them or make friends or anything. So when I first get there, I'm just expecting, all this theology teaching, but I didn't understand that there were layers upon layers in my heart and my mind that need to be uncovered. So my first year there, I was like, I wouldn't say I was miserable, but I was just, my first year, I've heard so many stories of people getting like this breakthrough and that breakthrough and, overcoming a lot of things. And there were things that I did experience, but after living for 23 years of suppressed emotions and not ever really communicating or knowing how to communicate how you feel or the pain that you're experiencing, having 23 years of that in your life, it doesn't just become undone in 9 months.
I can relate.
So I'm there and I'm starting to come out of this bubble a little bit, but I never really experienced like real intimacy with people. And I didn't really know how to go after that. Like I did have friend groups, like we, were in friend groups and things, but I didn't really have like that intimate friendship connection. The first year of me being there was just a lot of, wow, I'm free. Like I'm free from being at home. I'm free from being under my parents' strict guidelines and rules, and I'm actually living away from home, which I didn't think that I'd ever be able to. I really didn't think I'd be able to leave home ever.
Wow.
And I packed up everything that I could, and I moved completely across the state. And
Country.
across the country, yeah, that's right, across the country. My God. And I began growing a lot as just a person.
Yeah.
I just began to just live, to let my burdens down and just live.
Yeah, you were figuring out who you were
Yeah.
apart from them,
Yeah.
which is such an important part of our journey, like separating ourselves from our family,
Yes.
figuring out what is our identity, who's God created you to be.
Yeah.
And so you're there, and tell me about these things you had been struggling with.
Yeah. So I thought that when I gave my life to Jesus, that the suicide would end.
Yeah.
I thought that my depression would be over. I hadn't struggled with pornography for a few years before I moved to California.
Okay.
And I moved there. It's not like I stopped this because I had this deliverance. I just stopped because I knew it was wrong, and I just made myself stop.
Yeah, out of self-control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like my heart had changed about it, or
Okay.
I was just like, this is a bad habit. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yes.
And so I still struggle with those things. Like even still of just being my first year of being at BSSD, I still didn't understand that I was like still hurting and broken.
Right.
I had no idea that I was in so much pain. And so, my first year was just being there and just learning about who God says I am and being around friends and being in a different environment. My second year, however, is when things started to shift. I don't know how it happened, but I just started realizing how angry I was. Like people saw this.
Is
really,
this when you moved in with Miranda?
No, okay, it was before.
Okay.
Oh no, by the time I moved in with Miranda, I was just a raging ball of anger.
Miranda's in the room. Yeah. She says that she pushed you over the edge.
Oh yeah, Miranda has this way of doing this for people because she's so pure at heart and genuine concern for people. I didn't even know how to handle that. I didn't know how to handle someone actually caring about me because I never experienced it before. And then here I am and meet this like at a distance, like us not being roommates, great, fine, but us being roommates was just like not okay because because I don't know how to be I didn't know how to be affectionate to people and be giddy over like being with
And
your
you're also
friend.
not a morning person.
I'm not a morning person.
So you'd wake up and sunshine would be awake already.
Sunshine is there and like ready to start the day, and I'm just
And
like,
she wants to chat.
I'm like, girl, if you don't go back to your room and talk to Jesus or somebody else and leave me alone, like you're gonna want to end this lease very soon.
Yes. Okay, so you're recognizing that you have all this anger.
Recognizing that this anger is just like I'm just a raging mess, but I didn't know how to communicate that I'm a raging mess. I just would try my best to cover it up because I didn't want people to see how angry I was, but it was still leaking out.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the Keep Your Love On class in second year, and you had incredible breakthroughs with this class. Like it was something that was just so, it was just speaking to you, and it was nourishing you and feeding you. I, on the other hand, I was having a hard time with that because I didn't have a culture of keep your love on. I didn't have a culture of love. I didn't have a culture of nurturing. And so I just remember one day going up to Dan. I'm sitting like in class and I'm hearing Dan teach the class, and I'm just like, this is all a mess. This is all very stupid. What is keep your love on? No, just be you, you know. And so I remember after class one day, I just walk up to Dan, and I'm so glad that he's such a patient person.
Yeah.
But I go up to him and I just said, I really don't like your class, and I'm having a hard time in this. And Dan did not react.
No.
He did not like retaliate. He didn't get offended. He just looked at me. He smiled. He said, that's okay.
And then he said, how's that working out for you?
He did, actually. He did.
I believe it.
And I just didn't know what to say. I just remember just leaving, and things just kept unraveling in me. And I thought that the anger was a result of something being wrong or me doing something wrong, but it was actually a result of God unraveling the things in me that I suppressed for so many years. And I remember, I think it was either I was interning or it was just the second year at Kim's house. And I just remember having this encounter with the Lord. And I go home a few weeks later. I just remember going home in a few weeks later. I just remember just like finally giving all of my frustration to the Lord. But at the time, to me, I was just like so upset and angry with God that I was just like, I'm finally going to let you have it. And I just started yelling at God and just like, where were you? And this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And I like started punching walls, and I'm glad like we never got fined when we moved out. No one ever said, hey, you broke this wall or you put it. Yes.
Miranda paid that bill.
I'm glad like none of that. Like I remember I punched our door so hard. Like we had two doors. One was I think steel, the other one was wood. I punched it pretty hard with my knuckle that like I dented it.
Okay. So that humble realtor out there that's wondering why their door's messed up now knows.
Yeah.
They're going to come for you.
Thanks for never finding us for that.
So you're so angry.
I'm so angry.
You're so angry at God.
And just like just fuming at him. And then after I was done yelling, I realized, oh, I actually just gave him my burdens. I actually just gave him all of this pain and hurt that I had carried around for so many years. And then from there, things began to spiral again. And, you know, these things always somehow, Kim is always attached to these encounters.
Kim, yeah.
Because I had another encounter at her house, and she prayed over me. And then from there, it was just like something, like there was this lid. She said, there's like this lid that was sealed tight on you, and now it's off. And I didn't understand what that meant, but I just remember the series of events that began to happen after that. Like I actually should be in a mental hospital because I started losing my mind. I started, I didn't even know how I was functioning the way I was functioning. Like I couldn't hear myself think. I couldn't hear myself talk through my thoughts. And I just remember just like my mind was like out of control. I reached out to Kim and Elko at several different, times. And I would just tell them like, I have no idea what's going on with me right now. Like I feel like a mad person. I don't know how to get a grip on anything. I don't even know how I'm talking to you right now. I think I'm going to check into a mental hospital. And they both kept saying to me, Kaylani, no, you need to pray. You need to pray. And I just remember responding to Nelko at one point saying, Nelko, prayer is not going to help me. Prayer is not going to do anything for me. Mind you, this whole time I'm on worship teams and I'm a worship leader and
Yeah.
I'm praising the Lord and I'm still going to church and still, reading the Bible and all these things. And so the depression that I thought had left me didn't leave me. I just learned how to control it and manage it. And so here I am again in this pit and whirl of depression and suicidal thoughts. And I didn't know how to be delivered from it. I didn't even know how to talk to God about it. But I remember that if I wasn't listening to Caroline Leaf, I was listening to worship music.
Yeah.
And worship is what got me through the darkest time that I've ever been in my life. People see me now as this worship leader and they think that I'm just having fun, and they have absolutely no idea the darkness that I walked through in my life and what worship has done for me, has brought me through. Like there is no denying that there is power in the name of Jesus. And there's absolutely no denying that there is power when you are at your lowest low, when you throw your hands up and say, Lord, please. So I remember just like going, like living my life this way, and I had no idea how to get out of it. And but I began to realize that I had to make a choice and a decision. And so there's this one day, it was in third year, and I again find myself in like this depressed state, and I'm just like so sad and just like, oh God, this is so hard. Life is like, when is this doom gonna end over my life? And I was walking. I think I was either walking to Safeway to get something to eat, or I don't know where I was going, but I was walking up and down Fortuna Boulevard, and I'm just like so sad, and just my heart is just so low. And again, I look up, something like nothing got my attention or called me, but I just knew I needed to look up. I just look up and I just see these eyes again looking at me, and they were red, like they had been crying. And I stopped and I just looked again. And it was way more real than right now. Like I cannot describe it.
Wow.
And
With your physical eyes, you're seeing this.
with my physical eyes, like I'm not in a trance. I didn't go anywhere. They just appeared to me. And there's a part of me that's just like, did I make that up? But there's no way I could have made that up, because my mind was just so depressed and just so sad. Like there's no way I just like, oh, I'm just gonna imagine this. I wasn't trying to imagine that.
Yeah.
And I stopped, and then I just looked at, I looked at the highway and the people at the gas station, and I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Like, no one saw this? Was this just me? What are y'all doing? We need to fall on our face right now. The Lord just appeared.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why he was showing his face to me, why he was revealing himself to me. But I remember Abraham's servant who left, and she had a baby, and she was sad and broken because of long story short, she wasn't being treated fairly under Abraham and Sarah, and she left and went to the wilderness, and the Lord appeared to her. And then I also remember there's this verse in Second Chronicles. I think a few days later, Dan McCullum comes, and he's doing a workshop with the worship students. And I remember that I had these eyes just looking at me, but I couldn't make sense of why. And so he out of the blue, he just he's teaching, and then he goes to this verse in Second Chronicles that the eyes of the Lord are searching throughout the earth, coming to minister to those whose hearts are for him. And when he said that, I knew why God was coming to me. I knew why God was looking for me. And so I just began to just weep and just be so grateful, even though my heart was just so broken and I was so sad. I was just like, I cannot believe that you have been coming to me because you love me. I, I can't believe that you've been coming to me all this time because I thought that I was being a horrible daughter. I thought that you didn't love me and that I wasn't good enough, but you've been coming to me to minister to me.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? And from there, it's just like I something woke up in me again, and I just started to make the decision like I can't go into these cycles anymore. I can't go into this stay in this mindset anymore. And you, Brittany, were like the one person that shed light onto my life. You know, I've seen so many other people go after their breakthrough and get healing and become stronger, but I just remember just always listening to who you were, like share your story about who you were before you moved to California and your life with the Lord afterwards and how you were also sad, but seeing the person that you were, it was kind of hard to see the person that you were turn into the person who you become. And I just started thinking, I just started getting jealous of you. I was getting real jealous because I was like, there's no way.
That's not the direction I was expecting this to go.
And
okay.
We went there, girl.
Here we are.
But not a bad jealous,
Yeah,
but
I
a
understand.
jealousy of like,
Yeah.
I want what she's getting in her life.
Yeah.
Like you just started declaring things over yourself, and you just started, having like these mindset shifts. And when you lived in, I forget what that town was called, but you said something to me one day, and because I was talking about like I don't like to talk about emotions, sharing emotions this week, blah 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 blah, and you looked at me and you said, "Well, I think that not being able to talk about your emotions and share what you're going through is actually weak, but the strength comes from being able to say what's going on." And when you said that to me, I was just like, okay, rude, just read my mail. And so that challenged me to start wanting to figure out how to talk about what's going on.
When was that?
That was when you lived in
King
Salmon. Yes, I had come over and we were just kicking it, and we just started talking about things from school, and we got on that topic, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Who knew?
I did.
I planted a little seed right there.
You did.
Okay. So just to give the listeners a little bit of a context, right now you are the worship pastor at the church that we went to in California. Yeah. And it was something that like was so obviously on your life, and maybe not what you're going to be doing forever. I think in some capacity you absolutely will, but I think to everybody else it was really obvious, and to you it was something you were running away from almost for a really long time. Tell me about what were you believing about yourself, and what did you get breakthrough in order to walk into where you're at now? I mean, you're such a powerful, like a powerhouse woman of God. You are the woman that you saw as a child on stage. Like you are that woman to someone else. Like that is, when I think about you and in your walk with the Lord and just all of our many conversations, I just remember you would clean the gym that you worked out at after hours, and you'd be preaching sermons to yourself. You would be worshiping to yourself. It is who you are to have intimacy with the Lord. Like, I don't know you any different way, really. And everything comes from an overflow of that for you. Everything. Your worship, your friendships, your relationship with the Lord, or how you pursue him. It all comes from that place of intimacy with him. So walk me through that. Walk me through how you felt about yourself before, and how are you now the encourager? Like you now have stepped into the role of encouraging other people.
Yeah. the Kaylani before I moved to California, and somewhat like halfway into living in California, I just didn't like myself.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was anything to like. I tried my best to be a people pleaser. I tried my best to do the right thing to be liked. And that just like made me do all kinds of just like not inappropriate things, but just things that I shouldn't have done to get loved. Pardon. And yeah, just like scared to do the wrong thing. So scared to do the wrong thing. So scared to like drop the ball. And fast forward to the Kaylani now, I can't say that there was like this moment of, okay, everything's done. I'm better now.
Right.
But it has been a process of just every day choosing the Lord. Every day choosing, I don't feel you or know you the way that I once did, because I can tell something has shifted. But I do remember that you've always been there. I do remember from a little girl knowing you, even though I didn't really know you.
Right.
And, you know, after time passed of being in California and just realizing, oh my God, I am a mess. I'm like, there's so much hurt and pain. And just like finally giving it to the Lord, the breath that began to come after that was, now the work can begin. Now the healing process and this journey can actually begin. Because prior to that, it was a lot of reading the Bible and praying and, Lord, I love you. And yes, that those things were effective, but it wasn't enough of letting him in so I can see who he's created me to be.
Yeah.
And now I was so broken and so sad. And like the thought of ending my life was a luxury that I didn't think I could afford. And I just remember there were so many days, not a single day passed where I didn't want to end my life. And now, like, I have so much hope and excitement to live, even with all the loss and the pain and the things that I went through. And still, you know, I'm the same physical body. Like, I can't have kids, and that was my biggest dream. But even still, without that, like, I can still see how life is so good, how God is so good. Like, I remember I was driving home one day from work, and I started to turn a new leaf, and I was just thinking and reminiscing over all the years that I spent being depressed and sad and wanting to end my life. But I never thought that I could feel any different, and I began to feel different in it. And I was just driving, and I just thought, Lord, why isn't it that I don't feel the same way that I used to? Like, I spent years feeling like this, and now I'm actually happy. And he spoke to me so sweetly and said, Kaylani, you can remember the pain and not connect to it. And I began to weep with joy because I realized I've begun to have breakthrough in my life. And that was a dream of mine, to always have breakthrough, to be the person that I am now. I never thought that I would be this person. I didn't think that I would stop struggling with depression. I didn't think that I would ever win the battle over masturbation and pornography. I never thought that would happen.
Yeah.
And the truth is that would never have happened if it were not for God.
Right.
If it were not for me actually surrendering and giving him all the pain, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, yes, I could have developed habits.
Right.
And I could have had discipline and self-control, but true self-control and discipline comes from the overflow of the Father's love in your life. And I couldn't have any of that if it were not for him.
Yeah. True freedom.
It is true freedom. It's not just, oh, I don't want to do that because I know it's bad. It's more of, I don't want to do that because I actually don't have a desire to do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't struggle with depression and suicide because I actually have the Father's love in my life. And I'm not scared to live anymore.
Yeah.
And, you know, I look at life now and I see so much value in who I am as a person. You know, I'm not saying that I think highly of myself, or I think that like I am the best thing since sliced bread, but I see the value in my life because I see the value in who he is.
Yeah.
And if God did send his son to die as a sacrifice for us, for mankind, that doesn't exclude anyone.
Right.
That doesn't exclude someone who lived most of her life as depressed and never saw value in herself. In fact, that blood is for her so
Right.
that she can see how valuable she is. And so now it's like I wake up, even though I'm not a morning person, but I wake up actually happy. I mean, still don't come
It just
talk to
takes
me.
like an hour. I mean, I'm the same person.
I mean, don't think that you're about to get a conversation out of me, because you're not. You will get a smile and a God bless you, shalom, brother, shalom, sister. Go pray, go pray. But now it's like I wake up and I'm happy to wake up. I'm not
Yeah.
waking up and I'm like, oh, another day, but it's more like, oh Lord, thank you for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I I started to accept and see God's love for me over time and accept that he's not disappointed in me
Yeah.
over time. And it was through understanding the blood and the sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross. It wasn't from, I'm going to read another self-help book, or I'm going to practice this habit, like, because I did all those things and they weren't manageable. I couldn't maintain them.
Right.
But when I started to truly surrender and accept what God did for me on the cross, it was just through accepting salvation, I realized I am actually a valuable person.
Yeah.
And my life may not look like this person's, or it may not look like that person's, but just a simple woman who loves to praise and worship the Lord, my life is valuable.
It so is. This has been so good. And it's really crazy because the Lord was after you the whole time. And you didn't know, but you were holding on to this baggage
Yeah.
that he had his hands out ready to receive at any moment.
Yeah.
And so for people watching that have, or listening, that have been carrying around similar baggage, and similar pain, and are experiencing anger and depression and suicidal thoughts and bondage to any coping mechanism or any substance, can you pray over them?
Yeah. Yeah. Lord, I just thank you for your love. Father, thank you for your unfailing love. I'm I'm just so thankful that you love us and you accept us. No matter what we do or don't do, you love us still.
Yes.
You're not waiting for us to change our habits. You're just waiting for us to come to you. You're not waiting for us to stop doing these things or stop doing those things. You accept us even with all the baggage, Father, because that is who you are. You are such a good, good Father. You are a good, good Father. Father, I just ask right now, under the sound of my voice and under the power of your presence, the people, Father, your children, I just speak peace to them right now. And I just speak the reality of the truth that your love is so much stronger than the baggage that they carry. Your love is so much more powerful than the hurt and the pain that they have lived their entire lives with. And I declare right now, they will see life. They will see light. They will be in the land of the living because you are alive and you are good. I just declare right now that the people who have been walking around in darkness and sorrow, who may have been battling depression and suicide, that right now, in the name of Jesus, those strongholds will be broken. That the closer that they get to you and the more that you draw near to them, they will gladly come running to the throne of grace. Not because of anything that they do. They can't do anything to relieve their burdens and their pains. But all they need to do is just look at you and say, Papa. All they need to do is just look at you and say, Lord. And Father, I just thank you for what you've done in my life. I thank you for how you veiled me and brought me out time and time again. And I just thank you for what you are getting ready to do in your sons and your daughters' lives in the name of Jesus. That they're not just listening to a podcast, but they're listening to a testimony of truth and reality that this actually happened.
Yes, Lord. Thank you.
In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you. As you were praying, I was just seeing the Lord expanding the tent pegs, like expanding this tent. And I think it's a word for you, and I think it's for a word for the people listening, that he's expanding your territory, he's expanding your tent pegs. Yeah, so just thank you, Jesus, for all that you're doing, for the people that listen to this right when it's released, and the people that come across this years and years from now. There's no, God is so outside of time. And we just thank you in advance, and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Kaylani. You're amazing.
Thank you for having me.
And goodbye until next time.